favorite Shrek animatronic. I got it. LED. It happened. What's up, guys? HK Hans here, and today we are going to be doing a review video. What is a review video, you ask? Well, let us find out. Today we'll be reviewing the new for 2022 Home Depot exclusive techie design animatronic goblin thing. This is a new thing I'm doing on the channel, even though every haunter out there has a review video of some sort, but mine will be different, I think. Anyway, so the only way I figured out how to do a video acknowledging that I own a prop is a review. The Goblin Thief here, he's going to be the first review, but the plan is I'm going to do one of the props I own. I might do all of the props I own at some point this year because I'm that bored. We're going to do a prop that I own. We're going to go over like 5 or a couple things that all the props can go and see how much they rank in the review list thing. And so this is the easiest way I can review something fairly and also, like match them up. So first, it's going to be the Goblin Boy from Home Depot. Alright, so the first little thing that we have to do on the review checklist is the prop worth its price? And so Mr. Goblin here, he is sold for $150. At least that's what I paid for him and how much he was on the site at the time. So in the long run, yes, I'd say he is definitely worth $150. I would argue that he could be retailed for more because he has a lot more. There's a lot more to him than just a jump scare, and he has a lot more. I would honestly pay $180 for him and still feel like that's a good price. He's not. He is priced very well. It is like almost like, why not buy him? He's not too expensive. He does exactly what you would think he does, and he actually isn't bad. He's actually very, very big bang for $150. So that is why he is definitely worth his price. And let's move on to the number 2. Number 2 is looks. Now, this is where people will definitely have a lot of arguing factors. There's people who like the look. There's people who hate the look. I for one, I don't mind it. It actually looks a lot better than I thought it was going to be. There were stock photos. Those stock photos kind of made him look like he was going to look really cheesy and bad, but he actually turns out to even be better. And the Home Depot video, I guess, because there was when they advertised the video for him with the old, spooky animatronic bit you give you heebie-jeebies, all that. In that video, he also kind of looks a little bit worse, but in real life, he actually kind of looks scary. He's very creepy. It's like, it looks cartoonish, but it's in a very, very innocent, but you can tell there's something sinister in the way he moves and everything. And also, I know people kind of complain about the bag placement, but did you know, literally, you could move the bag and it will not hurt the prop? Because the skeleton has its own base. He has his own base. So you could position the bag in any way, and his arms, if you don't like the way his arms are on the bag, I mean, you can't really move the arms, but you can move the bag, and his arms will move with the bag, and it will work. He kind of looks... I have him in a position where he's, like, hunched over, and he's, like, in mid-stealing, and, so... He's like now talking, trying to do something, whatever, and then he pulls out the skeleton because he was stealing something or cooking something. But my point is, he looks kind of cartoony, but he actually looks even creepier in person, and it actually is a very scary look. And the skeleton, I mean, the skull is very detailed, but there's a lot more detail in the spirit one. Only difference with those ones are, this dude only has like a spine. The one at spirit has a full rib cage, and it actually has a light. He doesn't have a light in his bag. The skeleton does at spirit. But with all that, I do really think the goblin looks pretty cool and scary, and it is overall just scary and not as cheesy as most people would think. Although then again, they just don't like it because it's a goblin. Goblins are very hard to make scary, but I like this. They did a good job. Techie did a very good job with him, making him look innocent but also scary at the same time. So, yeah. Now let's move on to the number 3, is audio. Now, this dude doesn't have bad audio. Although, it is a little bit creepy, but maybe that is why I like it so much. So, his first phrase is, "I have such delights for you. Step up and take a look, 'cause you will be the next that I cook." Which is like, he kind of sounds creepy when he says, "I have such delights for you." He sounds like that one stalker that will not shut up and will comment on your post something creepy. I think we all know that one person. But he says it very creepy. So from the beginning, it is almost like you don't want nothing to do with him. And here he is now talking about how he likes you. Come closer, which is already a big red flag, a green flag in this case. But then he literally just says, "I'm gonna cook you," and then he pulls out the skeleton that he's gonna use to cook. So in this way, that phrase alone is kind of creepy and just overall terrifying in the end. His next phrase is yes, come closer. But watch your step, or you'll be the next that I collect. And then he pulls it out of the bag. The thing about that one is, it's just a generic. It's not, well, yeah, it is the generic, come closer. I'm gonna do something to make you scream thing. Although there's Punchy who does that, who also just is funny on his own, but we're not gonna talk about him because I don't own him. But yeah, so the first phrase is just creepy because it doesn't even really draw you in. It's more like, I don't want nothing to do with you, and then he just even makes himself look worse and worse and worse. Second phrase, he's like trying to get you intrigued, and then he's like, "Oh, by the way, you probably know this, but I'm gonna scare you with my little skeleton friend in here." So, first phrase, awesome. Second phrase, disgusting! Alright, so number 4 is animation. And as you can probably tell, his animation is where his head turns, his mouth moves, and he pulls the skeleton out of the bag. So there's a lot there. He also has LEDs in his eyes. I guess that would go with this, but overall, the whole animation is actually kind of cool. He doesn't move too fast, but he also doesn't move too slow. His head movement is very I guess kind of like he's actually trying to talk to you instead of more just not caring, or I don't know. He just looks like he would grab your attention if you turned him on, if that makes sense. He seems like a real person. His movement isn't robotic. And the jump scare is very, very, very quick, depending on, if you have the spring in a great position, which is something that I don't want to get into because that's too complicated. But overall, for what he does and what his purpose is, it works. He has head movement, he has mouth movement, and then he has the jump scare. Literally, he has all the movement that he could ever have. He's got everything. So, really, his animation is pretty good, and overall I do like it. Alright, so number 5, we're gonna go over his setup. His setup is not horrible. It is actually quite easy, as long as you're not stupid like me and don't know how to put feet on the right thing. That's a problem I've had with Grimm for my store and other animatronics, dare I mention, that I've screwed up because of their feet position and side. But other than, yeah, he's not a horrible setup. It is very quite easy, and Techie, the gods themselves, even may help give you a video to do it on. So like you can set them up and have the video in the background, and it actually isn't horrible. And I think Techie setups are the easiest for like anyone. SVI, once you know what their typical setup is, you can literally set up every prop by them. And so yeah, that his setup isn't really bad at all. This section would be more for my Crazy Create props. And finally, the last thing that I'm going to review on is quality. So, this section might be a little confusing. So, to get everything straight, his materials seem like they would held together. I'm not afraid of hitting him and then somehow him falling apart. So, he's made of some decent materials that do not make me worry about his safety. He looks like he would survive if I tapped him too hard, if that makes sense. So his materials, his mech is plastic like all other Techie props, but the mech that is plastic that I know of is in the bag, and no one's going to be touching that bag for all I know. So that's the thing. He's got mostly metal for support, and so the plastic is only for the mechs, which is understandable, but overall his quality is very good. I don't see him breaking anytime soon. He is very, very good quality. He's got a latex head, as very rare for Techie props because most of their props don't have moving mouths or anything, mostly just plastic heads. But this dude has a latex head with a latex mouth. And so I do think his quality is pretty good for what he is, and he looks like an actual person that you could be afraid of. Well, that has been the Goblin review video. I plan to do more reviews in the future of other animatronics that I plan to be getting soon, and the ones I already own. Not to mention of the ones I have owned for a while. So yeah, that's the end of this video, guys, and I'll see you next one. Bye bye.